Okay, let's pick up right where we left off. Right, we looked at these numbers on the last video, so we will skip right past this, and we will get to this one. This is the nominal GDP in US dollars and trillions, right? The world-based economies for 2019 and 2018. You can see US is still holding the top spot, with China coming in very close second. All right, there was a time there, this was like 18 and they were like 10, but they are growing at a much quicker rate, which we will talk about when we get to the topic on economic growth. So the dark blue is 2019, light blue is the prediction for 2020. And you can see here, most people see having growth in 2020. I don't know how much that will be true when we look at the numbers, but we will see. All right, GDP per capita, we talked about this. It's real GDP over the population, all right? When we look at it, we've looked at these numbers. You can see Luxembourg again in the top spot. United States at 65,000. Canada coming in at 46. All right, these are percentage changes in real GDP from past quarters, from each quarter, right? And you can see it grows. You know, we'll look at a business cycle later and you'll see the ups and downs of this. This red area here is what people call the Great Recession. I call it the Depression of '08. And I'm thinking you may see some big red lines over here when we get to 2020. All right, so those are some numbers to look at. Then we have nominal versus GDP, real GDP. When we talked about GDP being a dollar measure of production, we take the inflation out of the nominal because the nominal is the prevailing prices. We take the inflation part out, we end up with real, right? It reflects the changes in price, and we use a base year to do this. Give me a formula, please. So we use a price index, which is going to be the lesson after this one. It's a basket of goods, and we put the price of those baskets of goods and say we do it in 2015. Then we take a basket for the base year, which is any year we have picked. Let's say it's 2012. So what that basket costs in 2012 would be the denominator. The numerator would be the cost of the basket in 2015. That would give us a number more than likely going to be greater than 100. It's going to come out to, 1, then times 100. So it's always going to be, if you're looking forward, it's going to be a 1. If you made this 2010 and this 2012, it'd probably be less than 1, and you would end up with a number less than 100 after we've times it. We then take that nominal GDP, we put it over this index that we got here, and that gives us the real GDP. Quick example, nominal GDP is 19.31. We get a deflator of 1.13. Divide it, and then we get a real GDP of 17.096. What are some of the shortcomings of GDP? 1, non-market activities. What do you mean by non-market activities, Mr. Mooney? I mean your mother staying home and raising a family. The most important job in the world, and it doesn't count in GDP. And I think it should, right? If your mom is a lawyer and she stays home, we don't count it. But if your mom goes out to be a lawyer and then pays someone to come in and watch after you guys when you get home from school, that we would count. But mom doing it, no. Mr. Motovich fixing his own car, not counted. All right, leisure. We need leisure to make us more productive at our work. Doesn't count. We don't count the improved quality of products, right? We're not looking and saying, oh, well, that iPhone is now iPhone 11 or 12, and therefore it's better than the one before. That is not taken into consideration in GDP. The underground economy, all of you who work off the books, doesn't get counted. How does GDP in the environment? Does the way we affect the environment count, or the way maybe we clean up the environment count? It does not. Okay, the composition and distribution of the output. Who gets the goods and services? We do not check that. That is a shortcoming. And then non-economic sources of well-being. Do you have health care? What's the obesity rate? What's our prenatal programs look like? Things like that aren't counted in the well-being. All right, then we have an income approach, which we've talked about in other videos, which is wages, rents, interest, and this would be profit, which is proprietor's income. A couple other things down there for you to keep an eye on. Here is 2009, you can see we got consumption, investment, government purchases, net exports, right? You see the negative number that we talked about. And then you have the information here. You throw in a couple of tax things and some imports. Then you get your statistical discrepancy here. So if you took that out, this would be 1447, right? 14,247, and then you add that, right? So when you're looking at 1447, excuse me, it's pretty close here. So either method is getting us very close to the number that we would want, or that we would look at and analyze, right? And then we talked about the underground economy and a percentage of it of GDP. Okay, and where is, it's interesting, I don't see Greece up here. Usually they're pretty high. All right, thanks boys and girls. See you tomorrow.